Cordova, Alaska is home to over 2,000 people that form a tightly knit community. The frozen coastal town of November may not have the hustle and bustle of the peak Copper River salmon season, but Cordova's heart beats on in the form of an annual sobriety celebration. For 16 years, Alaskan Native tribes have been coming together from all over the state to celebrate heritage and sobriety. Over the course of 4 days, the event provides knowledgeable speakers, food, entertainment, and most importantly, a message of hope and sobriety, starting with our youth. Alcoholism and drug abuse isn't new, but a way to stop it is. This year's theme is Live Free, Live Sober.
So it was 16 years ago. There was a guy, he was a counselor for, I believe it was Sound Alternatives at the time. Anyway, he came up with the idea to get it started. He started looking for funding, and we had been at the AFN convention, and that was one of their big things at that time was celebrating sobriety and trying to get it started statewide. So we picked up on that, and Mark was real successful in getting some funding. And most awesome part of it was the tribes coming in from the different villages and with their dance group. Mm-hmm. I don't know that maybe had never happened in history. Yeah. Cordova was known per capita for consuming more alcohol than anywhere else. It seemed to me that people were having identity problems, self-esteem problems, and alcohol and drugs have a lot to do with that. There's symptoms of low self-esteem, and I know that it's been really hard, really traumatic for generations of people to go through the things of the disease, all the killings and all of that, and it just seemed like it was time to start dealing with that. But how do you do that? Well, the culture and the language.
We are the Cordova Increment Olympic dancers, and this first song we're going to do is Alahe. Alahe, 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 Alahe.
Mike and Della will call each community, and you come forward if you've lost a loved one to substance abuse. Okay?
My name is Leanna Charlie John, and from Chistachina. About 2 years ago, I lost my nephew, Daniel Nikolai Jr.
And I'm from Volcano, Alaska, and I lost my sister about 8.5 years ago due to alcohol. Thank you.
Remember my sister, Kelly Kumkoff?
I would like to honor my uncle who passed away this year after 40-some years of alcoholism.
I'd like to remember my stepbrother, Eric Gardner Eklund, who got killed by a drunk driver in 1997.
Remember my niece, Kylie Anderstrom.
I'd like to remember my grandfather, David Brown, who was hit and killed by a drunk driver.
Yesterday, my cousin died because of alcohol and substance abuse.
Tony John my nephew.
I'd like to remember my nephew, Alfred Friday Jr.
We just lost a real good
Her
fisherman.
name was Tracy.
His name was
She
Ralph
was my
Guthrie.
auntie.
He was from
And
Petersburg.
I'm going to miss her a lot.
He married and sit down state.
My grandfather, Jerry Clark, he passed away around 2 years ago now.
Hawa Salana for being with us today. Hawa Salana for bringing us to Cordova. And Hawa Salana for giving us the strength to share our loved ones with everyone here, to know that we are human beings, that we are loving and kind. Hawa Salana for your love and your care, and just continue to be with us as we celebrate sobriety here in Cordova and in our lives today. Hawa Salana. Amen.
My name is Mike Weber. I was born and raised in Cordova. My parents were born and raised in Cordova. My mother from the Prince William Sound side, my father from the south side, and their families. Cordova is my sacred homeland to me and my parents and to my kids. Again, it gives me great honor to speak to you people. My personal story started almost 11 years ago, and that was the first day that I admitted that I had a drinking problem, and that was my first big step. Admitting, if you can admit that you have a problem with drugs or alcohol, that is the very first step to recovery. I was very tired of drinking when I decided to quit. My family was tired of it. I admitted it to myself. I admitted it to the public. They knew when I came home. They covered me with their wings, gave me strength. Very important. Ever since then, it's been pretty smooth cruising for me. You know, at first I had to go day by day, and it was scary. In a way, time went on, the summer came, I was getting stronger every day. And I do believe me admitting that I was an alcoholic, that I needed to check myself in, kind of set me up for the second part of my speech, what I'm about to tell you. I had a near-death accident on my same boat. My family was there. My parents were there. My raincoat ended up getting stuck in the deck winch and pulled me in until I didn't realize I was stuck in it at all until I got wrapped up so tight that I knew I just had enough air in me to explain or tell my wife to shut the deck winch off, that I was stuck in the winch. We had a really big set. We caught all the fish that day. I told them to pay attention to the net because the corks were already going down. Well, I ended up getting wrapped around the deck winch, pulled my head into the deck, cricked my neck around, and that's right when she stopped the winch. I had not another centimeter to go before I would have kept going around in circles, and I would have been very tragic from there. I ended up spending 63 days in the hospital, 2 surgeries, was paralyzed for a while, had to learn how to walk all over again. So what I was trying to explain earlier is I think that being sober for the 6 months before this accident kind of set me up for maybe for the rest of my life. And if I was still drinking, I really think that I don't know where I would have been if I was drinking. Having a clear mind helped me with that recovery. Getting clean and sober was my very first step. This accident happened. I look at it as it was something good, because you can't look at it as bad. You got to move on with it. And that kind of led me into my last part of my speech here, and that is trying to deal with a disability and what positive thing can come out of it. And that was carving, getting into carving, getting into the native politics. It was basically, that was my first step. And like I said, I had a lot of time on my hand, and I was asked if I would sit on the native village of Eyak tribal council. And I did the very first year off after my accident. I saw all the proud native leaders and coming to the sobriety show on all my business trips with the native village of Eyak. I saw how proud they were of their past and of their culture and their traditions. And it got me into studying my past. I started reading. I never stopped reading. It ended up becoming a major outlet for me. And I really was able really to put it together until about a year after I started reading. And when you study the books tell you if you're going to be like a carver, like I ended up being a carver. I started carving after my accident. And when I did my first project, it turned out relatively well. I was pretty impressed with myself, kind of patting myself on the back. And like I said, in the history books, the books tell you, you could have some spirit in you that maybe one of your past ancestors might have been a carver. And that's kind of how I felt at that point in time. Carving ended up becoming a business for me. It opened a lot of doors for me. My latest passions are recreating our local art, bringing it back, putting it on our walls, on the corporation's walls, the village's walls. Basically, all the ideas were brought from books, a lot of studying. Like I said, it got me in tune with my past, and it ended up becoming a real spiritual advantage for me to be able to put an idea on the wood and know that it came back from the past. So there are some benefits. Like I said, being sober when I went into this accident kind of helped pave my road to 2 different recoveries. It brought me in to my native heritage. My accident did. I don't think I would have found it if my accident happened. There are benefits from having disabilities. This is one of them. Living sober has been a lot of fun for me. It can happen to anybody if you admit it. If you admit you got a problem. Living sober is fun. I have a lot of fun with my family. We went on some cultural weeks where they do crafts and arts, and I didn't think that I'd be able to go out on the dance floor again, because it took a couple drinks for me to get tuned up before I could go dancing. And there we danced all night. And my legs don't work very well. I tell you, they didn't work very well the next day from dancing for a couple hours. But it was fun, and I proved to myself that I can have fun. Again, sharing my words with you guys, well, I hope that it might benefit some of you. Hopefully it might open up some doors, some ideas to live sober, to live free. Being here on the 16th anniversary of Native Village of Eyak sobriety celebration is an honor. And seeing all you people here is an honor. One last thing, again, I would like to thank all of my friends for your support. Not only drinking, but literally every day they ask me how I'm doing. And when they ask me how I'm doing, they're meaning, you know, how am I dealing with my daily struggles of my accident. And they do a good job, and they keep me in line. My family, thank you very much. Thank you all.
And my clinic name is Dahutsu, and I'm with the Eyak marginalized dancers. Well, we're breeding like some high school kids and junior high, because we like bring kids that are at least 10 years old and up to grade 12, this age group. There is a lot of drinking in the teenage going on. My daughter, son, they don't drink, but they tell me that there's a lot of partying going on and drinking and driving, and they know about it. And so I think the kids, that they see that sobriety is important, and just staying sober is important, especially in the teenage years.
And this is my 5th year drumming and my 10th year dancing with marginalized dancers, and they have been coming to sobriety ever since it began. So this is my 3rd year here. The drummer is really what sets the heartbeat, what sets the tempo. If one beat is off, all the dancers will stop dancing and look at you. And it takes a lot of practice. I had to apprentice for 2 years before being able to really become one of the lead drummers of JOM. And it takes a lot of time and effort. I have blisters on my hands from drumming, and I can't really stop. And so you just got to really know the songs and really hear the songs in your head to be able to do them, because you're the one that's leading it. And if you're off by half a second, the dancers know, because the heartbeat of the dancers is the drum. Dancing gives you a sense of character, who you are, and what you're doing is like a recreation of what your ancestors did. So it's a really big honor, you know, we get a lot of respect for it, and basically it's become who I am. I live kind of in a balance of a teenager, 16-year-old in 2009, but also my other half is my culture, and it takes up a lot of my life, and it really is important to me. The theme this year was live sober and live free, and I was trying to figure it out, like what it meant and stuff, and finally about middle through the day I'd been thinking about it, and it seems that not being sober is kind of like a burden, like a lock on it. And if you have one lock on something, the rest of your life is going to be locked up too. Like, it can't go any farther. But sobriety, being sober will really let you go to be who you are to be. And I'm 16 years old. I haven't touched drugs in my life. And it's mostly a lot because of my culture and because people are counting on me to be the best that I can be. Just know that the decision is always yours to make, and that try to keep a sense of integrity of who you are. Don't lose who you are, but help enhance the best of you in all that you can be, in all that you can do. Take the chance, take the risk. When things get down and bad decisions really take you down, there's a Maori proverb I think of, and it is turn your face to the sun and all shadows will fall behind. So if bad things happen, if you do make a bad decision and you really regret it, just don't dwell on it. Just fight for the light. Fight for something that could be so much better in the future. You know?
Well, if you're sober, you like a lot more things get through your head. And for the purpose of our dance group is to teach the next generation. And if you're drunk most of the time, then you're not going to teach them anything but to follow in your footsteps.
I'm gonna keep coming back as long as I let.